Agud Voch Rabboisai. Live from Park City, Utah. It's Friday, 8:40 in the morning, because it's a 9-hour difference to Eretz Yisrael. Shabbos in Eretz Yisrael is about an hour. So I have to say tremendous shkoyach to Mark Ashkenazi for getting up early yesterday on his drive to Bet Shemesh today, right now, doing this. I had to get up at 3 to prepare shear so that it could be ready at 8:40 in the morning. I think it's one of the records. The guys that know how to operate the systems, they're in Eretz Yisrael, and it's almost Shabbos by them. So we have to do 2 shiurim before Shabbos. So we're going to hustle. We're going to get through. We're going to do the first shiur is going to be English, just in case Chas v'Shalom something doesn't work out. So at least it's the English. All right, here we go. I want to show you this. This is regarding the email where the guy was upset that I drank out of a water bottle when I didn't have a cup with me. He says it's not, and in fact, he followed up with a mefurish or Chat GPT that says it's not covered typically to drink out of a bottle, especially if you're in a restaurant, don't drink out of a bottle. So this is one of our locations in Bnei Brak, one of the live locations. This guy's a special individual, Moshe Cohen. So here he is talking about the upcoming shiur. Let me just show you what he says.
ערב טוב רבוי, MDY בני ברק. כמו שאתם רואים, יש לנו כבר הגמרות מוכנות על השולחן, ויש לנו בקבוקי מים, בקבוק אישי. לכל לומד כבר מחכים לכם שתבואו. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, שהכל נהיה בדברו. גוואלדיק שבגוואלדיק. אז אין לנו כוסות, יש לנו בקבוקים, מחכים לכם.
He says, there are no cups, there's only bottles. We're waiting for you to learn Torah. Geschmack. Torah with a geschmack. Making light of the people that have major issues. This guy that wrote it, he's a fan supposedly of the shiur. He has a big issue with drinking out of a bottle. So here's the big tzaddik who wants to help us out with AI. Usher Miller. I made an AI video, and I'm going to Be'ezer Hashem share with you another one that he did, Gibaldic stuff. Again, if you know anybody or you yourself are good at AI and you want to be part of our team, you want to contribute to enhancing Torah learning, here, this is, I guess, the Avodah Zarah, the Eli Stefansky Avodah Zarah, the bobblehead. I made an AI video for Daf Aleph, and Yossi Klein asked me to send it to you. See attached below. It's compressed. Let me know. All the best. I've been doing the Daf with MDY since Baba Kama, and I've never gotten the chance to thank you and the team for all the amazing work. So thank you, Yishkoyach, Usher Miller. Keep on sending your stuff. I like this stuff. I like this.
Good morning, Rabbi Isai.
Oh, excellent. All right, so I'm not going to read this because it's all in Hebrew, and I didn't have time to translate. Basically, this is from one of my favorite guys in the Hebrew shiur, Yitzchak Yehuda. He brings so much energy to the shiur. He's the guy that drums on the table. If you ever saw the Hebrew shiur, he's always with a smile. And he says, basically, I'm just going to paraphrase it real quickly. He says, I don't have words to tell you how much appreciation I have, even though you're on vacation, you're doing the shiur, you prepared the whole thing. Kitzer. But at the end, he says that after his son, his B'chor, Yisrael Meir, was born, we waited for more than 6 years for another child. Tears, tefillah. It looked like everything was locked. So after our daughter was born, I told you that it was in schus of the shiur. And here's the story. One day during shiur, you spoke about the tremendous milah of listening to your busha, somebody making fun of you, and being quiet. So I really wanted to try it out. He was in Chulon by his father-in-law, his mother-in-law, and he was davening the shul, and there was a Jew by the name of Shai. and one of the people there started screaming at him. So he didn't do anything, and I remembered what you said. So I ran over to him. I said, "Do me a favor. Don't say anything. Just give me a bracha for children." So he writes. Yitzchak Yehuda says that he saw that it was very hard for him, but he controlled himself and he gave him a bracha. He says just a few days later, his wife was pregnant, and he kept in touch with this guy, and he called him up, and he was very, very happy. The kids he loves the Musar from the Shir. He says it really gives him a tremendous hashpah. It's literally part of the Torah. I love you, and I love the guys from the Shir. Kitzur, I feel it's such a big part of the Shir. Anyways, you should come back in one piece. V'chulu, v'chulu, v'chulu. Givaldik. Let's go to the next one. Oh, I wanted to just share with you a little bit of Utah. So this is 20 minutes away from my daughter's home. As you can see, a double-layered mountain background. So there's the first mountains, and then you have the further mountains. And we had all this to ourselves, geschmack. For 2 hours we sat there. Pretty windy day. You can see there's waves in this lake. It's a much larger lake, but we found like an inlet where no people, nothing, just very, very quiet, gewaldige stuff. And this is also one of my favorite guys from the Hebrew Shir, Rabbi Yisrael. Rabbi Yisrael he sits to my right. He's a huge part of the Shir. Here he is in some, I don't know, beautiful mountain range. Over there, the Olam is really enjoying themselves in Bein Hazmanim. The Masechta is sponsored by David Salomon, dedicated in memory of Avi Meir Reb Shmuel Baruch ben Chaim Tzvi Doiv. Anonymous, Anonymous, may our learning be the protection and source of unity, blessing of Yisrael, Joel Gedalis, Lenishrus, my father Jack Gedalias, TCS Israel Power by Talking Save Anonymous, I was going to say that I see that I'm tired and the words are not coming out fast enough, and now it's going even faster. I can't even stop it. I'll frame it in honor of Rebelli for continuing to see how the spread Torah around the world. Coffee Anonymous in memory of Leiba Jamila. Elchanan Pressman, the one who pressed me to do Chumash in honor of Yosef Ephraim Pressman, 11 years old, finishing first 100 blot with Reb Eli. Yesterday, we had a tremendous chus of having a camp here. As you'll see, if you saw the video from last night, it's called Nasiya Experience. 22 Hasidic Bachrim, Gewaldige guys, they sing here, they had a geschmack. I told them I'm going to show a video of them doing the Good Morning Rabbi site. It's not on my phone. I hope somebody else has it. Maybe I didn't look good enough. So if you have it, send it to me. Very, very geschmack. And then the guy that was, what's the guy's name? Eli Down, something like that. Yisrael Down. The kids are his son. What was his name? Oh, a very, very unique name. Nadi Tamar. Gewaldige kid, 11, 12-year-old, who was having issues in yeshiva, but loves the shir. So I told his father in front of him, I said, listen, if your son does 150 daf, if the son really wanted to come to MDY, to live shir from Lakewood to Eretz Yisrael, I said, if he does 150 daf, you should put him on a plane and bring him. He says, okay. Mir Babekov, Zivug Hogam b'Meher for Avner Chaim ben Dino, Amen, Zer Kayoma b'Shot Toiva for Dvor bat Svetlana, Anonymous, Refuah Shlema, Idit Sarah Bas Chana Ahuva. Daily sponsors: Shir Koil Coffee Anonymous, Lili Nishmat Nisan Ben Chaim, MDY Kids, Innovations LLC, Schools for Official, Choron, Akiva, Rifki, Mrs. Stefansky, Kalman Yisrael for learning four Masechtas with Rebelli. Wait a minute. Is that new or old? I don't even remember anymore. We used to have that, but it seems like new. MDYR monthly. Yehonatan Eitan Ben B'Shav Bracha for Refuah Shlema for Mordechai Ben Esther, for Hayelet Daniel Zev Ben Ayelet Esther Boisai. Here we go. So yesterday we did the Mishnah on Daf Nun Aleph from the Beis, 50 daf into Avodah Zarah. We could say about Peh, we could say fast again. Avodah Zarah Shoyel Ginoi Merchatz. You had a beautiful garden of the Avodah Zarah or a bathhouse. Nehenin mehen shaloi b'toiva, so you're allowed to benefit from it. Shaloi b'toiva, meaning Rashi over here says without paying. Rashi earlier in the Masechta says without saying thank you. Places over there discusses which one is the real one. Okay, so you're allowed to use this bathhouse if it's shlei b'toiva. I'll show you real quickly, if I could get to it. How do I get to it, Mark? I don't see. Oh, shkoyach. That's how you do it. So simple. This is from the guy Miller. Let me just show you. Oops. Yeah. This is a Beis HaMerchatz that is in a partnership. This is the priest. You see on the side, it says Kiddush Club and Comer Fund. I think what he meant to do is to show that there's two partners that own this beautiful bathhouse. And that's why the Mishnah says, if it was owned by both of them, you're allowed to pay for it. The Gemara is going to describe. So the Mishnah says that it's grabbing one shita. We saw throughout the Masechta Machlokes. If somebody makes Avodah Zarah and he's a guy, it's asur immediately. Yisrael in asura achatiyavad. But if it's a Jewish Avodah Zarah, it's only asur once you worship it. To remember the shita of the Mishnah, we have a gevaldik siman. When it comes to a guy, his machshava, Kadosh Baruch Hu is mitzaref l'maisa. A guy doesn't have to take action. A guy, if he thinks about doing an avera, Kadosh Baruch Hu is mitzaref l'maisa. By yid, if he thinks about doing a mitzvah, Kadosh Baruch Hu is mitzaref l'maisa. So nacham al guy, he thought about doing Avodah Zarah, boom, it's Avodah Zarah. So that's the sheet of the Mishnah. Avodah Zarah of a guy, as long as he makes it, he doesn't have to worship it. The machshava is enough. That sheet is Rebbe Kiva. We're going to see in the Gemara. That's basically today's sugya. And a Jew doesn't become also until he actually worships it. Says the Gemara, Omar Abaye b'toiva koimarim. What does it mean to give to do a toiva, a favor? It means to give to the koimer, to the priest. Shalei b'toiva is koimarim. What does it mean? As long as it's shalei b'toiva, meaning you're paying not the priest, you're paying some other guy. Lapuki toiva the shari, to give money to a worker that works there, you're allowed to. You're just not allowed to give it to the priest. And some say it on the end of the Mishnah. If the bathhouse was owned both by a priest and others, then you're permitted to benefit whether it's b'toiva shaloi b'toiva. What does the Gemara mean? What does the Mishnah mean? You're allowed to pay others, but do not pay the priest. So you have a partnership between a priest and just a regular guy. Pay the regular guy, do not pay the priest. Says the Gemara, the one who says this halacha on the seifa. In other words, if there's a partnership, pay the guy, don't pay the priest. Meaning, if there's no partnership, then of course you can't pay the guy, the priest. If there's no partnership, who owns it? Just the priest. Of course you can't pay him. If there's a partnership and you pay the guy, that's okay. But if there's no partnership, of course not. When there's no shutvis. But the one who says that if there's no partnership at all, then if you don't give it to the priest, it's okay. So he's saying a tremendous chiddush that if you say it on the Reisha says like this: there's no partnership yet. Don't pay the priest, pay a regular guy. No, so if there's a partnership, so of course, then in that case you could even pay the priest. It's so weak because it's owned by the priest and by the non-priest that you could even pay the priest. Avodah Zarah shaloi v'kechavim asur miyad.
I got frosting.
Awesome. You came to learn Torah with Zaidi? Do you come? Yeah? Frosting, come. So every morning, my Einokol comes to sit on my lap. You want to say hello to the camera?
No.
Oh, okay. So just sit, you eat frosting over here. So we don't want to ruin the minig, hamakim. Fine. Now, brand new sugi. So it goes like this. We're going to have a machlokes between Rebbe Kiva and Rebbe Shmuel, whether or not the Avodah Zarah becomes asur immediately when the Jew uses it or makes the Avodah Zarah versus when the guy does, or vice versa. They say the exact opposite shittas. Again, just to remember, because we had a good simon. According to Rebbe Kiva, and that's our Mishnah, the Avodah Zarah becomes asur immediately when a guy does it, because the guy, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is mitzaref machshava l'maisa. But a Jew, he actually has to worship it. Says Gemara, Avodah Zarah shel Levi Masur miyad. Vasisamani, who does the Mishnah go according to? Rebbe Kiva. This goes according to Rebbe Kiva. The Sanyo, Abit Abdum is called Mekoimois. The Torah says the makom, the place. You should destroy all the places Asher Avdu Shama Goyim, where the Goyim worshipped Avodah Zarah. Says the Gemara, Bekalim, Mekoimois doesn't mean a place. It means the actual kli, so let me just show you. There's something called Mishamshi Avodah Zarah. That is the vessel that serves the Avodah Zarah. Let's say you're bringing tires to Avodah Zarah. You bring something that, it's not the actual Avodah Zarah, it's the vessel that serves the Avodah Zarah. So let's look at the pasuk here again. Abi ta'abdum es kol ha-mekoymes. Mekoymes, we're going to learn that the word mekoymes means kalim. These misham Avodah Zarah. So Abi ta'abdum es kol ha-mekoymes es Avodah Shama Goyim bekalim shemisham shabem Avodah Zarah kozim medaber. The Torah is talking about the vessels that were used for Avodah Zarah. Yachal asorim v'lo gemarim, gemarim v'lo yevim, hevim v'lo nishtamshu b'hem. These are all the Shina says. Maybe you made it, maybe you brought it. No. You have to worship it. Hevim v'lo nishtamshu b'hem. If you brought it and you didn't actually use it for Avodah Zarah, that's garnished. And Amru Avodah Zarah shel oved kechavim eina asura ad shedei oved. This is not the sheet of Rebbe Kiva of our Mishnah. This is Rebbe Shmuel who argues, and he says that a guy has to worship it. And a Jew has to use it. Doesn't have to use it. He has to make it, and it's also right away. Divrei Rebbe Shmuel, Rebbe Kiva Omer, and this fits right into our Mishnah. Chiluf hadvarim. It's the exact opposite. Avodah Zarah shel Levi kechavim asur miyad. So the Avodah Zarah of a guy, as soon as he fashions it, he makes it, it's also even before he worships it. V'shal Yisrael, ad shetiyaved, but the Jew, he has to actually worship it. Omamar. Now, we're going to go through the two shittas to see how Rabbi Shmuel learns it. First, we're going to do Rabbi Shmuel, and then afterwards, how does Rabbi Kiva learn his limudim? Omamar. The Torah is talking about the kelim that we use, that are used for Avodah Zarah. As the Gemara, Mekoymois. Look at the pasuk. It says first in the Torah, Mekoymois. How can you say that the word Makoim, a city, a place, a village, a country, how can you say it means a kli? Says the Gemara, I'll tell you why. Because you can't destroy a place. You don't have to destroy a place. That we learned. That if... Do you like learning Torah with Zaidi? Yeah? Why? Why do you like learning Torah with Zaidi?
Because.
Do you come every day to learn with Torah with Zaidi?
Yeah.
For how long? A lot?
Yeah.
How many minutes?
7 minutes.
7 minutes?
Yeah.
Wow. And how do you know when it's 7 minutes?
Because.
Okay. How old are you?
3.
3? So this we already had in the Masechta, that a mountain cannot become Avodah Zarah. You have their getchka, their Avodah Zarah on top of a mountain, but the mountain doesn't become Avodah Zarah. Daf Yomi Beis Amud Aleph. Therefore, Tneu'in Lekalim. So we have this Yisoid in all of Shas. If you have a pasuk that have nothing to do with it, you must use it for something else. The pasuk says you have to destroy all their places. And we know you can't destroy the places. You don't have to destroy the places because the place doesn't become Avodah Zarah. A mountain doesn't become Avodah Zarah. A city doesn't become Avodah Zarah. So it must be talking about, and that's why we put over here, in parentheses, look over here, on top of the word Mekayimos, Kalim. Gewalt. So, Mekan Amru. So now let's get into Rabbi Shmuel. Easy sugya. In fact, Rabbi Yedidia Kramer gave this entire shir today in Hebrew in 23 minutes. It's not going to take 23 minutes. Just to read it for me takes 23. But it's super simple. So what we're trying to understand here is how does Rabbi Shmuel know that a guy must worship the Avodah Zarah? He's not like Rabbi Kiva. It doesn't go by machshava according to Rabbi Shmuel. He has to worship the Avodah Zarah, and then it becomes Avodah Zarah. And the opposite. And how does Rabbi Shmuel know that a Jew, just by making the Avodah Zarah, even without worshiping it, the Avodah Zarah becomes Asur? How do we know that? Here's where we know that a Jew's Avodah Zarah doesn't come Asur until you worship it. Yisrael miyad. And the Jewish one becomes Asur immediately. As the Gemara, but we said that this pasuk, is talking about Kalim. In other words, not the Avodah Zarah itself, but the Meshamish of the Avodah Zarah. Let's see the pasuk again on the screen. Now you look at the pasuk, it says Elohim all the way at the end in red, and it says Mekayimos in the beginning in red. Mekayimos we said means Kalim. So now we have a connection. Makish Elohim leKalim. So we compare the Elohim. What does Elohim mean? The Avodah Zarah itself to the Kalim, to the vessels that serve the Avodah Zarah. Not Mekayimos is Kalim that serve, not the Avodah Zarah itself. They serve a good fragrance, the food, whatever you're bringing to the Avodah Zarah, that Kli is a Shemesh Avodah Zarah. And there's a connection because the pasuk says both of those words in the same pasuk. So just like the Kalim, they must be worshipped. That's Shitas Rabbi Shmuel, they have to worship them. So to the Getchke itself doesn't become Asur until you worship the Getchke. Check this out. Look at this giant S. This S makes a stop. You cannot compare the word Mekayimos to the word Elohim because there's an S over there that doesn't really belong there. The pasuk should have been written without the word S. It would flow nicely. What's S Elohim? So S comes to say, no, do not learn one from the other. Okay, so we already established that a guy, when he makes an Avodah Zarah, doesn't come Asur until he worships it. How do you know that a Jew's Avodah Zarah becomes Asur right away? So the Gemara Svarahu. Why did the Torah talk about a guy? He could have just spoken about general Avodah Zarah, and I would have known a guy, I would have known a Jew. From here I know that a Jew is different than a guy. Now, there are three options. If a Jew is different than a guy, there are three options. What are the three options? Either that when a Jew makes an Avodah Zarah, it becomes Asur right away, and that's what Rabbi Shmuel learns. Or a Jew is different, or nothing happens, zero, it doesn't become Asur at all. Or there's a third option, that a Jew is just like a guy, that he has to worship it. What are you doing? Do you want to do Daf Yomi?
No.
No. Okay, good. So, the Israel has Svaru. With the guy a guy only becomes asur until he worships it. The Yisrael asur miyad. The Jew becomes asur right away. As the Gemara understand, you have three options here. Why do you pick that option? That a Jew becomes asur right away. Maybe a Jew's Avodah Zarah doesn't become asur at all. Think about it. A Jew deep down.
A funny picture.
Okay, Tzadekis. Now Zaidi has to give a shear. You want to come back a little later? Okay. Love you. See you soon. Okay? And bring the picture later. Or I'll come up and get you, okay? Don't forget your thing. Good job. Hope that wasn't too much of a distraction. We go weiter. I wanted to have a Havas HaTorah. I always tell her, you want to learn with Zaidi? Torah? Yeah. And then my grandson comes. We learn Torah together. So, I don't want to throw her shur away and then she's going to get scared from Torah. I don't know. So, yeah, and it's almost Shabbos and we got to go. So, you hear the Svara, a Jew, deep down, he's a Yid. The Pintel Yid doesn't allow him really to connect to the Avodah Zarah. He's going to say, this glass, this is going to save my life. He's not that much of a shaita. So maybe there should be zero Isser on it. Okay, so he said it. He doesn't really mean it. Deep down, he doesn't mean it. He's Jewish. Maybe the Yisrael klal loy. So the Gemara says, no. Hashtag bayo, as we're going to see soon. When a Jew has an Avodah Zarah, there's no eitzah at all. You have to bury it. It's Itzuri mitzvah. So it shouldn't be asur. Of course it should be asur. But maybe maybe it should be exactly like a guy, and just like a guy has to worship it in order for it to become asur, so to a Jew. No, so then why did the Torah say guy? Just don't say it. That's normal that goyim do Avodah Zarah. That's how it is. Asisem, what does asisem mean? You fashioned, you made the golden calf, you made the egel. From the moment that the Klal Yisrael made the egel, they had a chet, they had an aveira, they didn't have to worship it, they just had to make it. Says Gemara, great. Maybe they got a chet, it's really mitzvah, but you have to make a distinction. There's a difference between chet, you're right, they get an aveira. But who says that the golden calf became asur? Who said that the egel hazav became asur? Makro, orur ha'isha sheyaseh pesel masechot. It says in the Torah he's cursed. From the moment that he made it, he gets a curse. Says Gemara the same question. Maybe it's to say that the person gets cursed. It's surely mitzvah, but nevertheless, the actual Avodah Zarah doesn't become asur. Says Gemara, avas Hashem. It's an abomination. It's a disgustingness to Hashem. Okay, so that's the final thing. From the moment the Klal Yisrael made the Egel Azav, it became a To'eva. Becomes asur. Rabbi Kiva, Dover Hamevi L'dei To'eva. No, it's not right now an abomination of To'eva. In the future, you just did something that will be a To'eva. Okay, so now we are done with Rabbi Shmuel. Again, we learned from Psukim that when a guy makes an Avodah Zarah, it does not become asur until he worships it. And then we learned also that a Jew, when he makes an Avodah Zarah, becomes asur right away. That's Shitas Rabbi Shmuel. Now we're going to go to the Shita of Rabbi Kiva, who we paskin like, and how our Mishnah just said it as if there's zero machlokes. And now we just have to go and understand where the Rabbi Kiva get is from. Again, what's our siman? Rabbi Kiva holds that Avodah Zarah that a guy makes, it becomes asur right away, even before he worships it. And the siman is that a guy, anytime he thinks about doing an aveira, it's an aveira. So when he thinks about doing this Avodah Zarah or fashioning this Avodah Zarah, it becomes asur even before he worships it. Rabbi Kiva, Avodah Zarah shall be chom nasur miyad. How do we know that it's right away asur before he actually worships it? Minalei oma'ula omakro psila leheyem tisr from beish. The Gemara darshan the word psila you could darshan two ways. We'll see. Miship pisloi when he etches it out here. Let's go back to Miller's piece over here. Here, when he sits there with that Hmm. Where when he sits there with that and he carves it
Good
out.
morning, Rabbi Isai.
Oh. So from the moment he doesn't have to worship it, he just has to carve it. Vidach, and what does Rabbi Shmuel hold? Rabbi Shmuel has to learn something else from this pasuk. What does he learn? How do you know that a guy has the right to be mevatel, to what's the word in English? To nullify, nullify. I think to be mevatel, to say it's not an avodah zarah. Shenemar psile Eloheihem tizramesh. So the first shot was when you carve it out. Now he's learning that he's poisel, a lashon of psul, of ruining it, of being mevatel it. Vidach, and how does Rabbi Kiva learn that a guy has the right to do that? He's already used up the word psile to carve it out, yichayv right away. Nafkalim de Shmuel, he learns it from Shmuel, the Shmuel Rami. Shmuel has a contradiction. You shouldn't desire the gold and the silver that's on the Avodah Zarah, but then a second later it says, you shall take it. Don't desire it, but take it. Which one is it? Okay, son. Pisloi, there's a difference how we read it with a lamed or mem. Pisloi, Eloiha, if you carved it out to make it a god, loisachmud, then you shouldn't take it. Pisaloi me Eloiha, not le, not to make it, but me, to take it, to ruin it, to destroy the Avodah Zarah. Then when you mevatel it, v'lokachtalach. If you mevatel, then you're allowed to take it. Says the Gemara, so we did step one. That when a guy worships Avodah Zarah, it's also right away. That we did. The Yisrael ad sh'to'aved min. Now step two is, we did the two steps in Rabbi Shmuel, now we have to do the two steps in Rabbi Kiva. How does Rabbi Shmuel know that when a Jew worships Avodah Zarah, it becomes asur immediately? That is, when a Jew worships Avodah Zarah, it becomes asur when he worships it, not right away. Visom basoser. He puts it in a hiding place. In other words, it seems like the words are not in the right place. Akoponim, what does it mean? We dash from lo dvorim shemaseser. That the Avodah Zarah becomes also the Jew when he does something that you do in hiding. What do you do in hiding? You worship Avodah Zarah in hiding, because Rashi explains that a Jew doesn't want to worship Avodah Zarah in public because he's fearful for his life. If he worships Avodah Zarah, they might come and kill him. So where does he worship as Avodah Zarah? He does it in a private place. Oh, and that's when it becomes asur. It only becomes asur when you worship it, not when you make it. Vidach, what does Rabbi Shmuel learn from this? He learns from a different drasha. Oh, Yoshi worked on this for a long time. I had different ideas for this, but it was too late. I wanted him to do a Hasidic guy with a Rebbe. He said it was too late. You know those famous Geniza boxes in Eretz Yisrael? So it just says on it, Avodah Zarah Benoni, a medium-sized, because they charge you for everything. Every page, every mezuzah, everything has a list. So yeah, Avodah Zarah, a medium-sized Avodah Zarah, 75 shekel. So how do you know that if a Jew has an Avodah Zarah, he has to put in the Geniza? You should put in the Geniza. He doesn't learn V'Som Basal said that it's referring to that a Jew has to worship it in order for it to become asur. No, V'Som Basal said that a Jew should put it in Geniza. No, so how does Rabbi Kiva know that you have to put it in Geniza? V'Idach, how does Rabbi Kiva know it? He learns it from Rav. How do you know that a Avodah Zarah of a Jew has to be put in Geniza? Yeah, in real life, Geniza means to put it in the ground, on the ground. So it says, every klishar is in the Beis Hamikdash. Everything that you're not going to be using, but we're talking about the mizbeach now. If you're not going to be using the mizbeach any longer, You can't just leave it there. You have to bury it. So just like a mizbeach have to bury Asherah to an gniza, so too the Avodah Zarah tree in Asherah requires gniza. So what does, if you're already learning that you need gniza from a different pasuk, so what do you do with the pasuk L'sidilcha Asherah that he's learning from? So I take the pasuk L'sidilcha Asherah and tell you another chiddush. Rish Lakish. Rish Lakish kol hamamid dayan she'enei hagen. Stam a drasha like an agadah to the drasha. If you set up, you take a judge. I can think of terrible judges today in America and in Israel. Hamev and Yavin. There's a whole situation in Israel, right? With the supreme judges, not to get into it, not to insult anybody. There's different people that love, who knows what goes on. But we don't want to get into politics. But in America, talking about in America, every time the president says something, this judge jumps up and says, no, the opposite, this, that. Okay. So, if you put in a judge who's not proper, it's as if you planted an Avodah Zarah tree in Klal Yisrael. It says you should put the judges in the right place. But we learned smichos. There's a pasuk right there, right away. You shouldn't put an Asherah tree. Just real quickly, until this point in your life, if you would read this medrash, perhaps you wouldn't understand so well. There's a medrash rabbah, a medrash in Dvarim, medrash rabbah, Parsha Hey Simon Vav. You want to look it up. It says like this. It says that Shlomo HaMelech, every time he went up a step, they read a pasuk for him. When he got to the fourth step, they read Lo Sita Lecha Asherah. Now, I'm thinking to myself, if I read this, I wouldn't understand what's going on. Why would they read a pasuk to the king of Klal Yisrael, Lo Sita Lecha Asherah? It's like warning him, don't plant an Avodah Zarah. But now we understand. What it means is, it's a warning against putting in a bad judge. You yourself don't be a bad judge. Don't put in a bad judge. So now we know. And if there's a city full of Talmidei Chachamim, you put a bad judge in there, it's as if you planted it right by the Mizbeach. Where is that? Here we go. Here's a bad judge. There's Talmidei Chachamim there. It's literally like you planted it right by the Mizbeach. Shenemar Eitzel Mizbach. You're right by the Mizbeach. Talmidei Chachamim, Mizbeach. Boy Rav Amnuna. Ask Rav Amnuna a question. Ritach Kli Avodah Zarah Mahu. Okay, so this is a halacha, Rabbi Yisai. Let's see how it came out. There's a difference between metal kalim and earthenware kalim, and there's two types of kalim. There's a kli that I would even do it flatter than this kli on the left. Next time I'll tell Yoshi, without any rims really, just a flat piece of metal. This pshute kli barzel, and there's a bowl. Now, if a dead mouse touches them, he's showing a live mouse, but let's just say it's dead, okay? We have to say it's dead because a live mouse is not matama. They become tamei. Now, what happens when the kli breaks? When the kli breaks, as you see on top, it becomes tar. So now we're talking about a guy that fashions it, puts it back together, bangs it with a hammer, says Rashi, or in our days, you take a soldering torch and you torch it back together. You know what happens? Very cool. Both of them miraculous. Yeah, it goes back to being tamei. So asks Rav Amnuna, Ritach Kli Avodah Zarah Ma'u. A person had in mind that while he's soldering it together, he had in mind, I'm doing this for the Avodah Zarah. What's the question? Does the tumah remain or not? So we have to see the question. The Gemara is going to explain the question. Avodah Zarah the man. Ilem Avodah Zarah, David Kechavim, Ben the Rebbe Shmuel, Ben the Rebbe Kiva, Mishamesh Avodah Zarah Hein. If it's talking about Avodah Zarah of a guy, that there's no argument. Even Rebbe Kiva agrees. Rebbe Kiva only argues on the Avodah Zarah itself, but there's no argument about the Kli Mishamesh. Mishamesh Avodah Zarah in Asurin Achi Avdu. You have to actually worship it. You can't just solder it and think in your mind for Avodah Zarah. Well, Avodah Zarah Yisrael. We're talking about a Jewish Avodah Zarah. Aliba the man, according to. We're breaking it down in pieces. According to Rebbe Kiva, you just said, according to Rebbe Kiva, a Jew has to worship it, right? We said a goy b'machshava. A Jew has to worship it. Certainly a kli. So this goes according to Rebbe Shmuel. According to Rebbe Shmuel, when a Jew fashions Avodah Zarah, it's also right away. Mai. And here's the question. Mishamshim gamrinan. So I did a very rudimentary chart. We are talking about the mishamshim Avodah Zarah of a Jew. Okay, that's the headline. A kli that holds the incense, that holds the food for the Avodah Zarah is a mishamish of Avodah Zarah, but it's owned by a Jew. The question is, do I learn the word mishamshe from the mishamshim of a goy, or do I learn Jew from a Jew? Not the mishamshim, but the Jew from the Jew. What's the shaila? Mai mishamshim gamrinon. Do I learn the kli, this mishamish Avodah Zarah from the kli mishamish Avodah Zarah of a guy? Mahasam achiyavdu. By guy he has to worship it up. So too by the Jew. We learn from the Avodah Zarah itself of a Jew. Mahi asur miyad. The Avodah Zarah of a Jew is also right away according to Shmuel. So too the kli is also right away. Says Gemara, my ear, they come and read the kli. I don't understand. Why do you have to go through this funny story where a guy comes with a torch and solders it? Tiboyle also. Just ask me straight. A kli that was made for Avodah Zarah. According to Rishmal, do I learn the kli from Mishamshim of a guy or from the Avodah Zarah of a Jew? Why are you telling me this? The case of ritach of soldering? Says Gemara, okay, we're jumping to something else. His whole question was regarding Tumah. It's not. So that's really, I should have shown you over here. This whole thing that Yoshi did. Here we go. Pshutayim, flat. Umekableim, a bowl. Tmeim, that a mouse touch it, is tamei. Oh. I didn't see that part. And then it got broke, so it became, he solders it. Got it. Okay. So, nishtabru taru. Once these metal kalim become broken, they become tar. Then he went back and he made them a kikli. Yachzir l'tuma. They should go back to become tami yishana, to the original tuma. This is the question. When it goes back to the tuma, that's only because the original tuma when it's the deraisa tuma. But this tuma of that we just saw, that this little guy comes. Where is it? Here, this guy. You see, he worships it, Tommy. That's only Midirabanan. So maybe that Tumah Rabbanan doesn't come back once he solders it. Or Dimaloishna. Vidabayli Shar Tumas Rabbanan. Oh, no, forget that. No, Tumah Rabbanan. Of Tumah Rabbanan, not. Or Dimaloishna. Vidabayli Shar Tumas Rabbanan. So Gemara is asking, so why don't you just ask me about another Tumah Rabbanan? In other words, like Rashi says, an example that the liquids made something tummy. You take liquid doesn't really have the power midiraisa to make something else tummy, because you need an avatumi, you need something like a sheretz to make something a kli tummy. Liquids are not. Liquids themselves are rishon. Rishon can't make tummy. So the Gemara says, no, in fact, we're asking one question out of another question. Now what? Tumah the Rabbanon mihadra ilay. First of all, I want to know if the tumah of the Rabbanon comes back. In the ilay hadra, and if you say it doesn't come back, tumah Avodah Zarah. What about the tumah of Avodah Zarah? Mishum chumah Avodah Zarah mishaviu Rabbanon ketumah the reis ilay. Tumah, as you see over here on the screen, that when a person worships the kli, it becomes tamei. That we said it becomes tamei. That's only the Rabbanon. But maybe because Avodah Zarah is so strong that even a tumah d'Rabbanan comes back after it broke here. There's a break. So now on top it says tar. Perhaps if the guy solders it back together, typically speaking, the Rabbanan won't come back. But since it's so stark, the tumah of Avodah Zarah is so strong, or the chumrah of Avodah Zarah is so strong, maybe it comes back. Perhaps we treat it like a d'oraisa tumah, which means it will become tamei again. Oilai teiku. Boy minei Rabbi Yochanan Rabbi Yanai. Rabbi Yochanan asked Rabbi Yanai, "Tikroivus Avodah Zarah shel achol ma'u." When I bring food to Avodah Zarah, mimahanyila bitul l'tarinu mituma oilai. When you go ahead, the guy is mevatel. He says, "I don't want this to be the food of Avodah Zarah." Does it? Yes, it's not osir anymore. You could use it. You can benefit from it. But does the tumah go away also? Is the tumah dependent on the Avodah Zarah? Now that there's no Avodah Zarah anymore, perhaps the tumah dissipates, or no? Ask Gemara, what are you asking me about the food? Ask about kalim. I didn't want to ask about kalim. Since the vessel, you could take this and dunk it in a mikvah and it becomes tar. Tumanami badla. So it makes sense that the tumah flies away. But my question is regarding food. As Gemara, what about Avodah Zarah that was made? You hear this? Made out of food. You know, sometimes at a wedding they make like a nice a swan made out of a watermelon. So if you take that swan and you worship it, that food of a Zarah, if a guy comes and is mevatel, says, I don't want the swan anymore, I don't want to be Avodah Zarah, does it still emit tumah? Avodah Zarah gufa lemibarle. Says the Gemara Daf Nun Beis Amud Beis, given the surah batel tumah nam bebatel. That's pasha to us that once the Avodah Zarah goes away, the tumah also goes away from the food. Ki kama bayle to crevice Avodah Zarah shel achle mai. My question is only about giving. We're only going to go to the Mishnah. Beis Hashem, try to get there quickly. Wow, I don't know what Mark is going to do here, because maybe I could get Avremi to go on. Mark, maybe get Avremi to do it, and you could go to Shul. The early Shabbos is already happening right now in Eretz Yisrael. If a person sacrifices food to Avodah Zarah and the guy's mevatel it, does the tumah go away? Rav Gidel holds that tikroivus Avodah Zarah that we had a few times is like zivchei mesim. Remember, like just like a dead person never goes away, the tumah of tikroivus of a sacrifice to the Avodah Zarah, the tumah never goes away. Tumah nami loy batla, and therefore, if the isra never goes away, Rav Gidel says the isra never goes away, so the tumah also doesn't go away. You're right. Maybe the isra doesn't go away. Tumah the rabbanon batal. You know why? Because the isra zivchei mesim we learn from a pasuk that doesn't go away, but the tumah, which is only a tumah the rabbanon, that perhaps should become batal. Teku. But my name is ben Shlomo Rebbe. Rabbi Yosi asked Rebbe, the author of the Mishnah, Kelim sheshimshu and Beis Chanya. Beis Chanya, a gewaldige, incredible story. What happened over there? There was a Kohen Gadol, his name was Shimon Tzadik. Shimon Tzadik told his son Chanyai, I want you to be the Kohen Gadol when I die. When he was nifter, Chanyai decided to be a big anav and defer the Kohen Gadol, the Kuna G'dayla, to his brother. Later on, he regretted it. He felt bad. He started getting jealous. So he made up a whole story. He's a very manipulative person. He went to his brother and he said, listen, the first time you do the avodah, I want you to wear women's clothing. He said, okay. He explained to him why. Okay. Then he goes behind his back and he goes to all the kohanim and says, listen, my brother, he has the shita, is crazy. He wants to wear women's clothing. And in fact, that's what happened. He wore women's clothing. They catch him. And he says, what do you mean? My brother Chanya told me to wear the clothing. And they looked into it and they found out that he was right. So they wanted to kill Chanya. So Chanya ran away, a long story, went to Alexandria, went to Egypt, and he opened up a brand new Beis HaMikdash of his own. Believe it or not, people are nuts. They followed him and he had his own kohanim and they brought korbanos. Machlokes Tanaim, was it for Avodah Zarah or he was legit? He meant it for real. He wanted to open up a new Beis HaMikdash, like we do a satellite location, MDY satellite location in Mitzrayim. So says the Gemara, these vessels, he had golden vessels, just like in the Beis Hamikdash. We confiscate those kelim and we bring it to the Beis Hamikdash. Can we use it? Now, according to a mayor that's Avodah Zarah, versteht he can't use it. But the question is, according to Mandom, it says that it's not Avodah Zarah, but just like a coin, any random coin that worshipped, and not worshipped, did the Avodah in the Beis Hamikdash in Mitzrayim, and Beis Chonye, Beis Hamikdash, in the satellite location, if he comes back to Yerushalayim, he does tshuva, we don't accept him. So perhaps the Kalim also, we won't accept them. And certainly, if they worship Avodah Zarah, these Kohanim, they're not going to come back to the Beis Hamikdash. It's all shaila, whether or not a coin that becomes about tshuva, could he do duchening? They say yes, etc. Maybe it's only a human being that worship that did avodah in Mitzrayim. He can't come back to Yerushalayim and do the avodah. But you're not going to punish a kli. Maybe there's no difference. Once you worship in Mitzrayim, I don't care if you're a kohen, I don't care if you're a vessel, an inanimate object, you cannot come back to Yerushalayim. Omar lei, so Rebbe said, Asur remain. I want to tell you, Rebbe Yosi, the halach is we cannot use those kelim. And I had a pasuk to prove it, but I forgot it. Eisvei. So Rebbe Yosi asked Rebbe, so this is talking about referring to King Chizkiah, who wanted to get rid of everything his father, the Rasha Achaz, did, but a lot of Avodah Zarah. So they come to report to the king. They said, all the vessels that your father left over, we prepared and we were mekadesh. What does it mean? We prepared it by putting it in the mikvah. We took the Shemen HaMishcha, and we poured it on it. We revived these kelim of Achaz. Achaz used them for Avodah Zarah. We put it in the mikvah, we revived it. Oh, so what do you see? You see that you can take the kelim. You're saying that these kelim are asur, since they were in Mitzrayim, they are asur. Look, Achaz, Avodah Zarah. You put it in the mikvah, pour oil on it, boom, you can use it. So Rebbe says to Rebbe Yosi, thank you. Because of you, I remember the pasuk that I forgot about. This exact, you mamish, what a kiss from Hashem. You said the pasuk, you said it in the wrong way though. Hichanu doesn't mean that we put it in the mikveh. Hichanu sheganaznu. It's asur, ani l'shitasi. These kelim are asur forever. What does Hichanu mean? They came to report to Chizkiah, the king. We took all the kelim, we buried them. Vigdashnu. What does Vigdashnu mean? You thought it means the old kelim and we poured oil. No, we fashioned brand new kelim. Shigdashnu acherim tachtayim. Okay. So it says Gemara Leibim Sayele. Perhaps I have a right to Rebbe. Mizrach tzvanis ba. Godzu beis chashmonoyis avnei mizbech. Let's just take a quick look at the. Here's the Beis Hamikdash. Now you see it lit up. Oops, sorry. Here, it lit up right over here. There's a place called Beis HaMoiged. You could even see there's a black line that runs right through it. Half of the Beis HaMoiged is inside the Beis HaMikdash, half of it is outside. There was a room over there. It's blurry. There's a room over there that they took the stones of the Mizbeach after the Yivanim. The Yivanim Nikbet Zualai, Chanukah. The Chashmonim took the stones. They defiled it by worshiping Avodah Zarah on the Mizbeach. So they didn't want to use those stones, and they took those stones. Mamish, like Rebbe says, what do you mean? Be tired of the stones. I don't know what. Why do you have to bury it? No, they buried those stones. You can't use it. Because they use the Avodah Zarah. So you see, you have to bury it. The reason is because they had a pasuk. The pritzim came and defiled it, so that's why we have to bury it. Army. And they said to themselves, what could we possibly do to fix these stones of the Mizbeach. Nidberinu, if we break them into pieces, we'll never be able to use them again. Why? The Torah says they have to be whole stones, not broken pieces. Ninsarinu, take those broken pieces, put them through a saw, make them nice and smooth. You can't use a saw, you can't use a blade on it. Omer Achmana. Says Gemara, okay, I have another eitzah. Break it and take it for yourself. Because the goyim stole the gold out of the Beis Hamikdash. What halacha does gold from the Beis Hamikdash have? It's hegdish. It's kachim. You can't just take stuff out of the Beis Hamikdash. And all the gold and silver of the world, the Gemara understood, is from the Beis Hamikdash. What do you mean? It's not the majority of the world. Dinara, a very specific coin called the dinar hadriyana from the king Hadriyana and Triana, from Trianos. Hadrianus and Trianos. They had coins that they stole, a lot of gold, a tremendous amount of gold in the Beis Hamikdash. They took it and they minted brand new coins with their depiction on it. So all those coins around the world, if they ever got out of Yerushalayim, the Chacham said, we can't use it anymore. Why? Because it came from the Beis Hamikdash. Shaifa. So if I know for a fact it's Hadrianus, then I know for a fact it came from the Beis Hamikdash. But it's rubbed out, so I don't know exactly. So I can't use it with any tipish Yerushalayim. They found the pasuk in the Torah that says that this is okay. Why? Because this is the goyim came and defiled it, and Mamela, if they said you're allowed to use these coins, how come you can't use the stones of the Beis Hamikdash? Says Gemara, there's no connection between stones and the coins. The coins were never used for. I'm thinking now out loud. The coins were never. I'll just say what the Gemara says. The coins were never used for kachim. I'm just asking, but the kalim that the coins were made from were used from kachim. Okay, so I guess once they reduce they take, let's say, the menorah. I don't know. There was a whole thing with Yol Gold. I didn't watch it. They take a kli made of gold and they reduce it to liquid and they make a coin out of it. So maybe that's something else. It was never used as is for kachim. But the mizbeach that was used for the Rebbeinu Shloim, you can never use it for private use in your home. You can use a coin that wasn't used for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but not a mizbeach. Rabbi Isai, have a good week. Agut Voch, have a wonderful day. We'll see you tomorrow, Be'ezer Hashem. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Chevra.
Merit the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shir today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDYDaf.com.